Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today I am buzzing because I've got my mate on here with me. He's been on before, he's back again, Frisco Boogie. Yeah!
You're happy you got it right this time, weren't you?
Mate, I knew you were going to mention it.
I was waiting. I was thinking, wait a minute. You're happy you got that right.
Dude,
Love that.
I saw you look over. It was a no in both of us where like, I said it, bang
I
on.
had total confidence in you.
You thought Boogie was coming.
Because
You were under,
you
were like,
weird?
Boogie's on its
funny?
way.
My wife always says this. Yeah, but it's boogie. And I'm like, yeah, but I say boogie. And she says, yeah, but it's spelt boogie. So you can't blame people for saying boogie. And I'm like, yeah, but it's taken from like, I look at it kind of more on an American boogie. So maybe I need to spell it different, but I've started now. So
I always try and tell people that story of when I called you Boogie, and then I try and tell them why it's Boogie. Is it a dance or an art form? What?
yeah,
was the
boogaloo. Boogaloo is it's under the umbrella of sort of popping, but boogaloo is in itself is the art form. So so it fits in with popping and waving and tutting, all the kind of street styles. But it's boogaloo. So
And what are all those things? Different moves.
everything.
Waving, tutting.
Yeah, so tutting, if we're going on to the dance thing, tutting came from, originally the dance, I'm led to believe, came from a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he does King Tut, and it's all kind of right angles and things. So that's tutting. Waving is as it sounds, waving. Popping is flexing of the muscles, tightening and letting them go.
Oh, mate, we need to do a workshop, actually. This has just come in. I said the kids would love this.
Boogaloo is sort of body angles and various twists, like Egyptian twist and twist to flex, where you'll move one bit of the body, then the next. Where the stars are there. There's loads. There's flexing. There's tons of stars that come under the umbrella. Animation, which is taken from the old Sinbad movies, claymation. So it's effectively like robot, but it's not robot. It's moving in kind of jerky movements or creating that character like the old claymation. Do you know Sinbad?
Yeah.
Where the skeletons came up.
Yeah.
And the Cyclops. It's that kind of jerky
Great film.
kind of movement. Then there's everything. There's like slow motion. There's a lot of styles, but when you see a lot of the dancers, it's all mixed into one, because under the umbrella of either boogaloo or popping, people would say.
Do you know what? I think I wasn't intending on venturing this path, because where we are today is we're going to talk about your album, because I've listened to it all now and I've got so much credit to give you, man. It's my favourite thing you've ever done, and I really mean that, and I'm going to share it a lot more. I'm going to keep in touch with your stuff a lot more, and I'm going to do my best to promote, because you're underrated, like really underrated, and I think I'd love people of my generation and the younger generation even to get into that type music where it's heavy lyricism, really conscious and beautiful sound. And you created and conducted it all, haven't you?
If you say so. To me, it's you put it out and then people like it or they don't. So,
but you've been the creator of it all, haven't you? Like,
yeah,
in terms of the production.
Yeah, the production's mine. I do everything from the production, the writing, which I don't really talk about production credits a lot, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just making beats. That's how I look at it.
I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not trying to gush, but it hit me in a massive way today. I was listening to it. I was like, this guy is an erudite.
But it's like the singing. I don't profess to be a singer. However, on Strolling, that's me on the chorus, on the hook. I don't profess to be a singer, but I can hold a hook. And
really well.
People say, oh, you sing. No, I don't.
And maybe it's because of the sun's out at the minute and it's the right vibe for it, and you've just put it out in the perfect time, but it's so me, what you've created.
You've hit the nail on the head. The album, it's called Sunflowers in September.
Oh no, we're going to miss the dancing bit, but I'm fine.
Okay.
Let's go.
We can go back.
We can find
We can
it
do
again.
another one. We'll do part 3,
mate.
when we talk about graffiti and dance together. Then
album it, because
covered the elements.
I want to explore it. Yeah,
well,
it's so much.
I'll give you the premise of the album, and this is This might sound a little bit, as you put it, gushy, but to me, it just
I think we gush today, man.
Sense.
I think we do it. I think
don't really like the sound
to.
of the word gushing
no,
together.
It's rather awful.
Let's move swiftly on.
on
that one. To be honest, the album, the title Sunflowers in September, the concept of that is late blooming. So sunflowers don't are around in September, and they bloom in September sometimes, but that's not their main time to bloom. And it's also, I do a lot where you've got like rainbows in the rubble, masks of the morning sun. I like that kind of title. But I wrote a couple of songs and they were really mellow and they were quite chilled out. And I played them to my wife, Louise. And she went, oh, I really like those. And I know Louise listens at times to some of my music. Maybe she's biased because she's my wife, but to be honest, she's quite an honest lady, so if she didn't like it, she'll tell me. And I kind of thought, I want to do something that Louise would listen to, start to finish. Which sounds, but not like, here's a dedication, romantic album, because that's not where it's from, but it was just something that she might go, actually, let me put this on in my car and drive to. So there's a tune on there called Oh Yeah, and that's about Louise. But everything else is just about there's various different concepts, but the soundscape is meant to be quite mellow, laid back, so you can drive to it. The timing's 37 minutes, so it's a small journey. And that was the idea. Sunshine, drive, chill out. And it's...
Would you say it's a concept album then, in its essence?
No, well, not really, because the lyrics aren't really... joined into any kind of concept, but the holistic view of the album would be a summer vibe, but not like a dancey party summer vibe, just a chilled out vibe. Put it on drive. You might not even listen to it all at the time. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You might not, you'll hear it, but you might not be listening to it. So it's in the background.
And there'll be different parts that resonate at different times with you.
But you just put it on. And I think it's one that you can put on from the start to finish. I feel it is. And not really skip anything. So I wanted something that you could just put on. And then I played it to Louise and she listened to it and she's like, yeah, I like that. And there wasn't really anything that she picked out and said, I don't like it. And for me, I was like, that's hit the nail on the head. So she'll listen to it, maybe start to finish. But then there's other things I'll do. There's other things, like the next project's coming out. It's a straight boom bap album.
Okay.
With some American artists on, and it's me just straight spitting. There's concepts, but it's a harder sounding album.
Have you ever created anything as mellow as this before in an entirety?
No. Rainbows in the Rubble was quite mellow, but there was still like Bars was on there, which was quite a heavy hitting track. There was a graffiti track on there called PTS, which was quite a hard hitting beat. There was a few, bit more head bobby beat in the kind of way I'd look at it, kind of the boom bap fashion. But this was just meant to be chilled, like a nice, quite mellow album, but it's still got some punch in it.
Yeah,
it's still, turn it up loud, it's still got some punch on it.
Thinking of the different energies that you do with your music, what's the writing process like in the different energies?
It's a bit weird. The first one I did when I came back was the Internal Masquerade, which was, I worked with an artist called Chat One, and we just got talking on the internet. He said he did beats, and I said, okay, maybe do something. We started doing like an album together, and that was okay. I got back into writing then. Then I bought my equipment, and the next album was Masks of the Morning Sun. And to be honest, I wrote a few tunes. I thought, yep, they sound okay. And then my stepson, Kamal, who's on that album, said, why don't you just do an album? And I went, no, I'm not really on that. And then I just started making tracks, and I got to stage where I had the full Masks of the Morning Sun album, which was kind of, there's quite a few of the tracks there talking about when my mum and my dad, who both passed, and it's kind of, the idea of the title was Masks of the Morning, S-O-N, not sun.
Yeah.
So it's morning, play on words, early in the morning, but also morning. Yeah. And it was the masks you wear while you're getting over something. Then Rainbows of the Rubble was things are getting better. So you start seeing the little gleam of colour, and like a rainbow in a rubble, you see that bit of beauty in a really shitty mess at times. Yeah. So it was kind of that coming out again. Then after that was The Circus, which was done during kind of lockdown, and it was about the conditions in reality causing us stress. It was about things that just wind you up, and it was kind of slipping back into that shit's awkward at times, shit's not great at times. And then this album was, it's a vibesy album. It's let's just do some tunes and chill. And, you know, as I said, I wanted Louise to listen to it.
Take a step outside the circus, in essence.
Yeah, it was. It was the end of the circus ends with, you know...
You're driving home from the circus.
Kind of. And then, this opens up with a clip from... I'm not going to say what the film's from, but it's a clip with the ladies talking and explaining, saying, you know, what happens in life when you know, blah, blah, blah. And she says, you know, it just gets faster and faster. And that's where I thought, right, I'm going to rap after that. And then it goes into a chilled album. Then the next one, maybe I shouldn't give it away, but the next one called Century Divided, because I've just turned 50. So it's half a century is 50. And it's more of a boom bap kind of hitting album where I just wanted to do some spitting on some of it. I just wanted to do just rap on it. Some kind of going back to just, you know...
It's not like nonsensical.
Not at all. No, it's still lyrical.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of tracks where... There's a track called Bum Ching, and it's basically just we're spitting.
Yeah.
Me and a guy called H2O from... it's totally gone. We're LA, but we're about to LA. It's totally comes back in a minute. It's me and him just spitting.
And he's based in LA at the minute.
Yeah.
How did you come across him?
That's why the internet's beautiful. Basically,
really?
he runs a radio station. He said, I played your song. Do you want me to put it in his like weekend bag that he writes reviews? I was like, cool. And then we just started talking. I can't remember. I think I sent him some beats. And he's like, I like that. I was like, let's do a few tracks. So we've done 2. But that's in the next project. But I've also got Elder Sensi, the graffiti artist from the Artifacts, on it, because I just hit him up and I really wanted someone to do a graffiti tune with. So, do you know what I mean?
What's a graffiti tune?
It was just about graffiti.
Really?
It's called Tags.
Tags.
And it's TAG. It is literally, do you know what I mean? It's just about, it's not about tagging, but that's just the hook. So it's just lyrics really on that.
With the, I'm going to say, elder generation in hip-hop, on social media, the beauty that you are able to connect with all those and join the dots, do you find it is still quite ripe? There is a lot of people doing the art form, expressing the art form.
Millions.
Really? Good.
Millions. People, it's weird.
So you've manicured your social media to suit you better, haven't you?
I like to contact people, and one thing I learned very, very quickly, I knew it in life, but when it came to music, it's weird. Do you know if you're polite with people and you send them polite messages?
Yeah.
People generally respond to you, even if you're asking them something and they're not going to give you what you're asking for, but you're polite. You build that kind of respect. And I remember I sent the album, I think it was Rainbows in the Rubble, or it might have been The Circus, to a reviewer, and when I sent it out, he came back and said something like, I don't review new artists. So first of all, I'm not a new artist, but I see what he means, because I'm a small artist, so he wouldn't have heard of me. So I was like, that's fine. And then I sent a really nice message back saying, do you know what, no worries, totally understand, it's about growing our pages and blah blah blah. And he came back and went, do you know what? I'm going to review it, because you were so nice. Yeah, and it was weird. He was like, do you know what? Because you've not gone on really like,
trying
you're
to
the same way, and you're leaving as old as that. I went, cool. That it's your page. You do what you want. I'm just asking you to. If you don't want to, fine. I was like, cool. And then he went, do you know what? I'm going to give it a listen. And he listened to it, and he was like, I'm surprised. And I was like, why? And he went, because I didn't think it'd be any good, not any good, but I didn't think it'd be what it was. And he went, do you know what, I'll write a review. And he wrote a really nice review about it. And I think I think it was about, he scored it about 8 something out of 10. And I was like, wow, because that always bemuses me that I'm writing these raps and someone's going, we really like to listen to that. And he scored it, and it was just that lead in of just being nice to people, and do you know what I mean, being polite. And if someone comes back to you and says, no, I can't do it, it's always a message back, no worries, it's cool, have a great weekend, have a great day. Because
do you try and get in the reviews quite often? Are you pushing it out there for reviews? And
I didn't with the circus too much, I'm going to be honest, because I promoted it, but not as much as maybe I should have done.
Yeah.
Because for me, the process is a bit I really enjoy.
Yeah. And
I like doing this kind of stuff because it's interesting. But, you know, I'm independent, I work, we've renovating a house at the moment. There's loads going on. So it's that time to go and physically go and promote and do things is quite tight. But I'm always on Insta sending things out and trying to make sure that I can, message people and say, can you review it? I send them the link. When I first started, I was sending hundreds of links out. But it's that grind. You've got to send 100 out to get 2 back.
Yeah.
And I think some people these days think, well, if I send 100 out, I'm going to get 20 people come back to me. You might do, but you probably won't.
Very unlikely.
The same way as if you flyer for an event, you give 10,000 flyers out and you fill a 300 capacity venue. Do you know what I mean? When you actually look at it, it's a few percentage there going in. You got to push and push and push and push. And I don't get bored, but I get to stage where I just think, maybe I shouldn't push it anymore. And that on my part is probably something I need to learn and promote something for 6 months, because it can last 6 months if no one's heard it.
Yeah.
And,
Have you put stuff out before and felt depleted that it didn't get the traction that you believed it warranted or should?
Do you know what? It's a really strange thing on here. I never look at it and think by a number point of view. Because,
That's a good attitude.
I kind of send it, I know, I can't say I know because that's the thing, I think that the kind of artist I am and where my lane is, I'm not a thousands of streams kind of artist. That I don't look at it that way. But when I send something to internet radio and you see New York or, I don't know, Brazil or Argentinian radio playing it or Australian radio, you're like, for me, that's a buzz. That's a massive buzz. Yeah. And I'm thinking, if they've got 20,000 listeners, which they could have, that's 20,000 people that have heard the song. Maybe that won't relate into streams because sometimes they miss the name, they don't Shazam it, but the music's out there and people are hearing it. So it's never, I thought it could have been better. If it doesn't do better, a lot of it's down to me because I'm not promoting it.
And maybe not the number thing, but is a part of your journey, do you like just hearing people's perceptions and views and reviews on it?
Yeah,
But have you shot something out before where you've not had much back of that and thought?
I've had a couple of reviews where
there's some good stuff in there.
But yeah, where people have said, do you know what? It's not for me. I'm like, cool. There's one guy I send it to, and this is funny. He's an American guy, and he does a review video on YouTube. And
I think I've watched this actually.
Yeah, and the first one I sent, he liked.
He loved one of your things, didn't he?
We kind of did. He liked it, but he said, it won't hold me for 3 verses. I was like, cool.
Was he Canadian?
No, that's Canadian Dad React.
I was going to say,
he's legend.
Stuff.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Shout out to Canadian Dad. He's a legend. But no, this guy's an American guy, and he listened to it, and then I sent him. I thought, So I sent him a nice message saying, do you know what, cool. It's not really your type of thing, is it? And he was like, it was okay. He said, I love the beat, I like the flute, but it was okay. Sounds like cool. So I'm still going to send you something else. So I sent him another track. And the minute he heard it, he said, no, I don't like the mix. The mix has killed it for me. I don't like the way he's flowing on it. The beat, and ripped it. So really? I messaged him back going, didn't like that one either, did you? Like jokingly, because to me, not everyone likes everything. I was like, you didn't like that one, did you? I said, but you know what? I'm going to keep sending you stuff. Because one day now, if he does take one, a guy like that, I'll be like, yeah, that's a little win. But it's you take what you get. If you put it out there, you've got to put it out. And people are either going to say it's whack or say, I like it. Or I'm indifferent. I'm not bothered.
Just put it out.
Yeah. And funnily enough, the not bothered are really, that's your strange crowd because they don't listen to it enough to say I don't like it, or they don't listen to it enough to say I like it. They just don't listen. So
you can cripple yourself, can't you, before you put stuff out? Just trying to overthink it. Easy. How's it going to be received?
And you never know, do you?
Just do it.
You never know. Some younger artists have they talk to you and they ask for advice, and I would say, do you know what? You can try and get the perfect track to put out. But whose head is it perfect in?
Yeah, that's a lovely saying.
Because if it's your head, fine. But I might hear it and think it's the worst thing ever. Let me reframe that. Not the worst thing ever, but I don't like the sound of it sonically.
Yeah.
Or the lyrics don't resonate with me. Or the beat's not something that I really... It's not bad. It's just not what I like. The same way as you could go...
Taste, connoisseurs.
There you go. I was going to say, you go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant and he cooks something that is phenomenal. You taste it and go, wow, that's not for me. It doesn't make it bad. It just makes it's not in my lane. It's not what I need, what I like. So I say to him, do you know what? It's a bit like, instead of, aim, get ready and shoot, it's shoot, aim, and then get ready.
Do you know what, mate? That's
do
a
it,
clip of the
take it out
podcast.
and think, so it's shoot, aim, and then fire again. And think, let me just throw it and see where it lands.
And then learn from that experience.
Yes, you might throw it and you might score that
Yeah.
that home run where people say, I
Score.
love it.
Or somebody may say something that you were having an itch about and thinking, I feel it could be this. Somebody reiterates that and says, yeah, I feel this about it. And then in the next track, you're conscious surrounding that and you
Starts
add that
building
into
up.
the track. Yeah, you've
But
got to learn.
It can be both ways. You throw something out and it lands well, you think that's where I've got to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not really. That's where it because it's a hobby that I do.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you think, do you know what? You don't get millions and millions of views. It doesn't matter what you put out as long as you're happy with it. So the circus was very different to Rainbows. Rainbows was very different to Morning. This one is very different to Circus. So someone say, actually, you're not consistent, Duncan. Well, I am consistent because I'm consistent in my inconsistent beat selection. So it's about doing something you enjoy, and if it lands, it lands.
Like David Bowie, mate.
There you go.
Consistent in your inconsistency.
There you go. And some of the albums he does that people will go, that's trash, will be cult albums where people say that is genius, but you just don't.
I think
get
there's a nuance surrounding this, because as a fan, this happened to me with Fat Freddy's Drop, one of my favourite bands, and they're dub reggae, and the album Based on a True Story is the most mellow, calm, searching album. It must be about an hour and a half long, and each song's like 7 or 8 minutes, and they're really taking you on a journey. You kind of got to be in a place to go there, and it takes you there. But then me and Chrissy booked to go see them in Nottingham. They're a New Zealand band. Seeing them in New Zealand, best day ever. Come back to seeing them in Nottingham, and they played their second album. But it's not even nearly similar. It's pretty much polar to what they were doing before. And as a fan, you go with this feeling and this want, and then suddenly they hit with this brand new stuff where you're like...
It's that, do you like the band and the artist?
40 quid for this.
Do you like the band and the artist, or do you like the music they make? And there's two different things there, really.
There is.
There's artists. If you take someone like Kanye West, first 3 albums, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'll get some stick for this. But last three albums, sonically, and I always use the word sonically because I listen to it and it just doesn't grab me.
Yeah.
And it's not, maybe it's because I can't relate to it. Maybe I listen to the beats and I don't like them. It just doesn't get me there. So I like portions of the music. So when people say, I'm a super fan of this person, maybe that just means you like everything they put out because you genuinely like everything they put out. Like when people say, I'm a Beatles fan. Okay. And I'm not professed to know a lot about the Beatles, but I've listened to their albums. I'm not that age, but I like music. So over the course of my life, I will have listened to the Beatles albums. You listen to Sgt. Pepper compared to one of their first albums, for want of a better title. It's different music.
Yeah.
It's different music. It's like 2 separate bands have created this sound, but either people go with you and stay with you, or they drop off because they like that period of your music in time. Kings of Leon's another great example. First 2 albums were kind of, hillbilly, maybe skiffily kind of the first. Then they went in and did the one with Sex on Fire and everything. And it was a totally different sounding album. That's when I'm going to be honest, that's when I liked them because I loved that album. I mean, loved that album. But the first 2 albums I listened to go, well, I don't really like them. So do you like the artist or do you like the music? And maybe you become a super fan because you just like 90% or 99% of what they hit.
Yeah. I think it needs to be thought of as the artist to, when I'm going into a new territory, new land, who I'm going to take along with me and how I'm going to take them along with me as well. It doesn't always, but I think when it's paying for tickets and stuff, that's where it needs to be thought of. If you're a hobbyist and you just love it, go wild and really put out whatever you need to in that time.
But there would have been a portion of that crowd that thought that was the greatest gig they've ever been to.
Yeah. I suppose
just because you didn't.
They'd prep themselves for knowing what they were coming for.
Or that was just the album they loved.
I'm not giving Fat Freddy's drop advice here.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they went and said, it's like going to a party. It's funny because we're training diversity and inclusion at the moment at work, and I'm doing a lot of the courses. And one thing we talk about is being invited to a party is diversity. Loads of different people. Inclusion is being asked to dance and feeling comfortable dancing in there. And it's that kind of thing, you know, sometimes a band will put something out that just doesn't resonate with you and you don't feel it's for you. You can love an artist's album, but hate every single other one they've ever put out.
Yeah.
Because you like the music.
Yeah, it's when it transcends, isn't it? From, I've just discovered you, I've been and seen you over here, now I want to just constantly see you.
I want to explore.
And then... it's this expectation, really, isn't it? I've gone into this environment thinking in a certain mind frame, this is what I'm going to receive, and then they've just span it on a plate. And it's like, have you eaten food before where you're not looking down and you think you're going to put something in your mouth, and then it's a different thing, and you thought, what's going on? I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And I think they need to maybe put out a clause or something. We are coming here to perform new material. And then you're like, okay, I'm prepping for that.
Okay, let me ask a question though. Would you have gone?
A very good point.
And because you've not said yes straight away, it's a maybe. Because you would have gone, yeah, of course I would.
No, it's a very good point. That I think to dissect that potentially, but the fact that I did go and I had such a polar experience and didn't kind of enjoy it, it put me off going to any others because I didn't know what to ever expect then. And even music on the whole.
But you still like the band, don't you?
I did. Yeah, I did. I like that album.
Right.
I like that based on a true story album.
And maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, it's really interesting chat.
One thing I love doing is when you find an artist and they're an old artist and you just discover them. I think it's such a beautiful feeling because they've already got a back catalogue for you to explore. You don't have to wait for the next one. There's nothing better than discovering an artist going, I've never really listened. How many albums he got? 12. I got like 5 years of releases without waiting because they're there. I used to love that. I loved that, finding...
And I tell you what, I do like their confidence in, no, we're going to go to this new town, new space, new whatever, and just do what we want. Because you need to be able to separate yourselves from your hits, because it must be, as an artist, just so frustrating and boring and tedious to constantly have to feel obliged to perform what they want you to perform.
But you're an artist.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question. Do you set out to write the same poem twice?
No.
Why?
For variety.
Right. But as a fan, you want stability at times.
Yeah. That's it.
So
what I wanted there.
The two don't match up. No. It's really weird. I think at times musicians, we can be quite hypocritical because what we want is not what we do and give. So, for instance, I don't want to write the same album twice. Why would I? It's boring. I wouldn't enjoy the process. It wouldn't fulfill me. But people say, I want that album you did before. I do another one like that.
Yeah.
And I would think that, like Nas did his first album, and the second album I love, probably better than the first album at times, but you wanted another Illmatic. But why would he write another Illmatic? So it's like this really strange switch from, I'm not going to write the same. So now I'm a fan. I want the same, but I'm not going to write the same. Well,
you said something in this chat, and that's the freedom of being a hobbyist, you know? Yeah. You don't have to really think that way, because when you're making money out of it and it becomes your living, that's where you do have to start thinking that way. Who am I going to lose on this journey if I'm not giving out?
And that's why it's called the music business.
What the demand is. Yeah. But as a hobbyist, and what I am really, is I get to complete freedom and range on how I perform, when I perform, what I perform, where I perform. So there is a beauty in that, isn't there?
There is, and I think that's why some people lose their artistic flair at times and artistic kind of creativity. But do you know, if you want to do it full time as a job, because it is a job. If you're signed or you do only this, it's a job because you get paid for it. Then you've got that dilemma of, has my artistic freedom gone, or am I that in tune with? Sorry, people that listen to me that in tune with what I do, that I can do all of that and I'll still be successful. And there's a few bands that are like that. But then we know there's a few bands that get into a position where now it's about the money and they do change and they try and write something that fits what they did last time. Why? Because that sold 1 million. So if I do the same...
recipe, that's the formula.
Sell 1 million.
Yeah.
If I change the formula, I might sell 5 million, but I might sell 10. Am I prepared to risk my livelihood now by doing that? Well, I've got kids, I've got a family, I'm not doing this, I'm doing...
Let's go back to baby,
Yeah.
baby, baby.
There you go. And that is sometimes the beauty of just being an independent artist and thinking, actually, I'm going to put out what I enjoy. If I'm happy with it.
So, just go. What's the album called, this album?
So, Sunflowers in September.
Sunflowers in September. What's the next one going to be called?
Possibly Centuries Divided.
But I think go with it. If we're going to make a decision, I like that a lot. It suits you. But you say that's kind of, you just want to spit and just say your thing. I was just going to say, for this album that you're currently promoting, how would you describe that lyrics and that lyricism and writing?
Do you know... Maybe it's a bit of a contradictory, but the same, because I'm still saying stuff that I want to say. The difference on the next project is it's more of a straight boom bap, nod your head, kind of hip hop beats. And they, for me, just wanted me to do a little bit of, not freestyle as in off the top of your head, but I mean freestyle. So there's not really a defined subject around the verse. It's just MCing. And then there's others there is concepts on there. There's a track on the next one called Same Old, Same Old. And basically it's saying sometimes we just like Groundhog Day. We relive the same day over and over and over and over again.
I feel listening to your stuff, do you write the hook first often? Because you're very good at hook writing. It's so catchy and there. And for me, because I'm a writer too, I picture, when I think about your music, the hook gives so much gravitas and possibility to all the rest of the song and the verses, and then they kind of write themselves then.
Sometimes, yeah. It's that chicken and egg, what comes first.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have a verse, and I'm notorious for digging up lyrics that I wrote ages ago.
Yeah.
And I mean years ago. On, not so much, let me just say, is there anything on this? No, there isn't on this, but on the last album, Circus, I've got a verse on there which I wrote about 24 years ago, and I just loved it, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do a full tune on it. But I changed the first lyrics, but it was about reminiscing your past life, and I thought, yeah, I really like this verse. And 25 years ago, some people heard it, but now they haven't. Said, you know what, I'm going to rewrite it and put 2 other verses and make it a song. So it was a case of, you know, I don't mind doing that and taking old stuff and putting it together. But if the hook comes, it comes. If the beat comes and the beat thinks, right, this is a mellow tune, this feels like I'm floating, that's what the tune's going to, oh man, that's what the tune's going to be. Sometimes it might be just, you have a hook and it just comes to you and think, ooh, maybe I'll do that. Then I'll look for a beat to fit it.
Okay, wow.
So sometimes you've got a hook and you think, I like this, but I need a beat that will fit it.
It really is neither this or that or this or that, is it? It's just whatever comes and feels right in the time.
Yeah, I've stapled tunes together. So I've had 2 tunes or 3 tunes with a hook, a beat and lyrics, 3 sets of those, and thought, it doesn't work. I love this beat, I like them lyrics, and I like that hook. Let me just jiggle them and put them together. That's the culmination of 3 songs, and luckily it fits.
Yeah.
But I do think of, when you're putting songs together, not a catchy hook, but I like the idea. Some people don't like the idea of hooks. Some people will just rap and spit.
Let's talk about a couple of the songs then.
Okay.
I've just been listening to Mean.
Oh, yeah.
Mean's good.
Okay.
I mean, that hit me because I've been through cancel culture myself, and people have tried to cancel me. I remember waking up one day to thousands of notifications, and it was a horrible day. And do you know what? It was the first week that I'd had my daughter. So I was trying to build a business. I've just become a dad. And then I've got on a feminist group chat or page or public thing, and they're all trying to ostracize me from the music scene and cancel my business. It was horrible. And it was from something that I'd not even said. or done. So I really just had to have a minute when I heard that song, it came on. Do you know when you sit down and you go, it took me back, I must admit. I felt a little triggered in the most beautiful way, though, because I felt somebody gets me. And that's what music's supposed to do for you. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm with you.
It's interesting. The whole cancel culture thing is quite interesting. I have two views on it. One, people cancel and then ask questions now. The same as it's a bit like self-defense.
Yes, so true.
You know, someone will hit first and then say or ask what's going on. It doesn't make sense sometimes. And the other bit is, if I'm not in your demographic for listening to, how can you cancel me? Because you don't listen to me anyway. So it's like a group of people that don't know you saying we're not going to listen to you. But you don't listen to me anyway. So what are you cancelling, you know,
Why
at the
are
end
you
of the
just
day?
firing blanks?
Yeah, and cancel culture is quite... it's quite hypocritical because not everyone gets cancelled. So, for instance, there are, but there's artists that have said some things, and because people still like them, it's okay. Let them go. The next person gets cancelled straight away. I do believe if you do something that you shouldn't do, maybe it should affect, you know, the money you earn off what you do, if that's something that you've done maliciously and you've gone out. But this thing of everyone just wants to cancel everyone, and it's only a social media thing.
Yeah.
You
They
wouldn't
don't
get
see you in
someone
the street
No one's
and-
going to come up to you in the street, Mikey, and go, "Do you know what? I'm cancelling you." Who are you?
And put like a bag up in front of
You're
can't
cancelled.
see you.
Yeah, I can't see you. I'm not
I
looking.
think that's a Black Mirror episode, isn't it? There's
don't
like
know.
a button that people can press and they like blurs you out.
But it's you know, this thing of cancel.
It can be.
It's just, I just find it
I heard-
fascinating and strange that people think you can cancel just because you're not listening to it. But also you got to think of it. You think I've said something malicious, and now you're, without sometimes evidence and proof and any actual, backing, you're now going to say things about me to cancel me.
Yeah.
It's a bit hypocritical, really.
I heard this quote today, in fact, and it was, the only way to combat bad speech is better speech. And I love that. It's, you've got a platform, go out there, say your thing, do a podcast, find a way of telling your story and how you wished for people to conduct their lives a little bit better and how they'd hold themselves. But for you to not have a skill or a talent or way of articulating yourself of why that annoys you and it just hurts my feelings, rip it down, I don't think that's healthy or helpful, because that voice doesn't just cease to exist then. Yes, it does on social media, but it's in the ether, it's in the air, and they're just going to build fire to that. Do you know what I mean?
With social media, you look, and there's a line in 100 where it says, somebody sleeping on the facts before they started posting. Searching for the facts to only back up what they're boasting. Hosting conversations, swearing Google is the mecca. BQing to drill me like DIY facts like Black and Decker. And it's like saying, all you want to do is find evidence to back up the bit you want.
Confirmation bias.
Right. And if you have real emotional intelligence, and I'm not saying I do.
You do, mate.
No, my
I've
wife will
listened to your
disagree.
music.
But if you've got real emotional intelligence, to grow as a person, you should try and disprove your own belief.
Yeah.
Because then you start, you hold a mirror and go, actually, why do I think that? And
That's
is there
the way
any...
science proves itself.
There you go. And it changes. So you can change. You can have a difference of opinion in a year to now, because the same way as science, it's only proven till someone disproves it. And then someone proves it again.
Yeah.
So it just keeps going round. But it's a case of thinking, do I think that? And why do I think that? And actually, let me argue with myself, but we don't. People don't want to do that. That I'm right, you're wrong. Where's your facts? I just told you, I'm right. So why do you think you're right? Because I am. And the internet will back me up.
And it's being strong in opinions and being forceful in your opinions.
Opinions are fine. On the circus, is actually opinions are opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an opinion, but you can't say my opinion's right. The nature of the statement. How can you say my opinion? It's your opinion.
I heard this on a podcast the other day, but it really, really reflected well with me. And it's a nice metaphor. But have your opinions like your clothes. Instead of it's your skin, and you'd protect your skin in a different way, where it's attached to you, you can't take it off. But if it's your clothes, sometimes they get outdated. Sometimes you have ones that, it's not my best look, but it's a look, and I don't mind it. And then also you look at other people's clothes and you go, oh, cool, where did you get that from? Could I try it on? Is it warm? Is it this? And you can interchangeable, and you don't have to hold it to such a regard. And honestly, that metaphor for me was, wow, have your opinions like your clothes.
But how many people, and the internet is a very safe place to have a non-evidence-based opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you say something controversial, how can I put it? If someone says something controversial and they're offended, now first of all, you're offended. I may not have said something to offend.
Mm-hmm.
I say a joke.
Yeah.
You laugh. You think it's funny.
Yes.
The joke's not funny. Your interpretation of the joke is funny.
You've internalised it.
Yeah. So you've made it. That's funny. So why does your right to be offended trump my right to be offended that you're offended at what I said? But the internet will jump on it straight away and go crazy. So why do you think that, as you've just said? Well, I just do. Well, okay, well, I'm not going to take on your point of view or your opinion unless you can say, I don't like what you said because A, B, C. And then I'll come back and say, okay, let me tell you why I said it so I can see your side, but let me go. And then you should have that challenge and debate.
Yeah.
Good point, Frisk. But let me tell you why I don't believe that. Now we're having an adult conversation.
Yes.
But it's not, the internet don't work a lot of the time like that.
No.
It says, you're cancelled, you made a mistake, I don't need evidence, someone told me this happened, so you did it.
When I'm listening to it, and I agree with everything you're saying there, it's just one thing that does kind of worry me in society now. This is an internet thing, but I saw yesterday, and this is an American thing, but a comedian got arrested for something he said. It wasn't inside of hate speech as well. I've watched the clip. It's been doing its virals at the minute, but he actually got arrested in LA, and I'm like, oh right, this is infringing into reality. This is turning its face into... Of course, that's where it becomes a little bit scary for me, I suppose.
There's some places that will always...
felony of speech.
Sorry?
For speech to be a felony, and then to be able to police it in such a way.
you can see why. Because if it incites... hate speech, if it incites violence or incites people to want to riot, you get it.
Yes.
But, it's like comedy. The amount that comedy does good to uplift people, to keep people happy, the amount of mental health issues that comedy, like not eradicates,
alleviates.
But alleviates. That's what it's wrong for, alleviates. Why would you try and censor it? And you're in the realms of a comedy situation. If I say something and you don't find it funny, it's not funny to you. And this is where it sounds awful, but when you get comedians that are really graphic, people say, you can't say that. Somewhere, someone is finding it funny.
That's our safe space. That's our place to go and feel the offensive.
If you don't like
supposed
it,
to be
don't
so
complain,
scary.
leave.
Yeah.
You cancel out of my situation. Don't push me out of yours, because you don't need to be it.
So when you wrote Mean, were you just going through the last few years and reflecting on how polarised everything has become?
This is going to make you laugh. No.
It is, yeah.
I found a sample that sounds like the woman saying they are mean. And I don't think it actually is saying that, but it sounded like it. So I had the loop, they are mean, and I was... I
thought that was you actually
they are
doing
mean.
They Are Mean.
No, it's a sample. They are mean, but then in the corridors, they are mean. And I was like, okay.
If you can spoken word it, mate, you're welcome to say some bits.
You should know by now. I don't remember any lyrics. I know the second verse is... imagine telling God that you don't believe. Imagine water in the trees and flowers beneath the seas. Imagine a world where you can't breathe. Murdered by brutality, not heard by society. And there's words like, imagine being scared to go home all alone. Imagine being, what is it? Imagine being out in an alley without your phone. Imagine being scared to go home alone. Imagine being left in your own dome. You know,
Yeah.
But this is the worst thing. I'd never, ever, ever can remember my lyrics.
Mate,
I can't.
People
But
have to listen to the song to really
Yes,
get what we're talking
go and check
about.
that one.
And that's did you scuff all that up so they had to go and listen to the song?
Yeah. Mess that up big time. But it is, it is. There's some lyrics on there, you know, where it says about imagining being able to have your own opinion without fear of cancellation or retribution.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the bigger your platform, the bigger your opinion can be. Which, when you think about it, and this is just my opinion on this, you have a lot of people that say the government this, the government that, the government that. You know, they're a massive platform. Look, they run over. But the minute you get 4 or 5 million followers, you're a figurehead in that community.
Yeah.
And just because you're trying to push your opinion, your agenda, it doesn't make it right. It just makes it your opinion and your agenda. But you've got to think, you get to a certain size in your platform, how many ever millions of people, and you are as powerful as a politician. You are as powerful as, you know, people who run, you know, kind of our institutions, because you've got people that you can just type and give an opinion out. And some people will follow. Why do you call them followers? Because it's follow like crazy. Yeah, what he said must be true. Why must it be true? Because he said it.
Well, it kind of shows how not many people actually think for themselves. There's a lot of people where you find out which party they're attached to, and you can kind of second guess all their pre-existing beliefs. And that shows testament to they're not really thinking for themselves. And that arbitrary nature or elusive nature or nuanced and balanced nature of being able to look at a situation, see all the complexities within it, and build your own and design your own thoughts around it. It's quite a hard, strenuous task to do.
Yeah.
But it's the right one.
But try and flip that and our personal responsibility. And it's only because we're doing this at work all the time at the moment. We look and we say, we can almost tell what their behaviours and traits will be. So effectively, we stereotype them instead of saying, what is your belief connected to that political party? What do you actually think? And it's funny because I'm not really into politics, and my wife would say, I'm not really into it at all. Things though, you hear on the news, not all the politicians are in line with who's running the country. So they don't all agree. They don't all think the same way. But we just look at them and think, you must do because you're Conservative, must do because you're Labour, must do because you're this, do that. So actually, maybe stop and go, let me go and talk to that person and actually find out, rather than going, you must be, because we do.
How many conversations have you had where it has reached to a political stance, and then you have that conversation, you're listening in and you're trying to be the silent observer and watch people go back and forth, and then the topics keep changing, and it's always a polarised, but if you've got a Labour and a Conservative here, the same topics are polarised each time.
It's like it's written.
That's kind of what I'm alluding to.
You can't agree with me because you're on the other side. And if you think about it, the whole notion is quite fake. I can't support you in what you think because I'm meant to be against you. You know, they're called the opposition for a reason, aren't they? Because they're meant to be opposed to what you do. And years ago, it was, if you think of the old parties, they were very different. But now the left and the right, as people say, is quite merged in a sense. So it's not as blatant as it used to be when people say, oh, you're a lefty or you're a righty or blah, blah, blah. It's quite merged
but then
the way it is.
It's more merged, but it's showcasing more extremists as well.
Yeah, it's gone that way. So the minute it goes that way, that will go. That 100%. Will move out. But I just think it's just. I think it's just quite strange at times. Why don't we just ask and find out? I do.
I completely agree with that too.
But it's difficult to do.
You see a lot of people in mental health that try and fix things rather than asking and hearing that person's perspective and letting them discover for themselves their journey. They say, you need to try this or look at doing this and what about this? It's like, no, this is all unsolicited advice. It's not what I need right now. I just need to be heard and then go on my own process and journey from it. You've got a really balanced attitude and mindset, and has it always been in your repertoire and way of thinking? Or is this new to you?
I don't know. I don't get into. It's funny. I don't get into a lot of discussions about things like politics. I stay away from it. I'm not really interested.
In social terms, in music terms, you're very nuanced as a whole and as an entity.
My role that I do, I'm a learning and development consultant at one point, and that was you have to look at things kind of at times from a balanced point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, in music, I just think there's so much out there. You can be who you want to be, and it sounds really corny. I just rather be me on this thing. So some days I want to talk about one thing, other days I want to talk about another. You might listen to some of my stuff and think, wait a minute, he's just contradicted himself. But we do that in life at times, because you wake up and you might be in a different mood on that day.
Yeah.
Things might have happened, so you might listen to a record and go, wait a minute. And yeah, maybe there's a contradiction, but that's okay.
That's
it's okay.
okay.
Unless you want to go, no, I never contradict myself. Well, yeah, of course we do. Everyone does at times.
So, mate, I know I do have a men's circle coming tonight.
Yep.
So I want to do this again anyway. Talk about what's your favourite song on the album and why? And I'm sorry I've had to cut it short in that time.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That means we're just going to do a part 3 on it.
We do actually have to do a part 3 soon as well.
That's fine.
We'll part 1 this.
That's fine.
And we'll reconvene in a couple of weeks for
Fine.
a week or so.
Fine. Absolutely fine
And we'll
by
part
me.
2 straight into
Fine by
it.
me.
Sorry guys, Mikey booking today. Men's circle tonight.
Not good.
Daft.
But worth it, because the men's circle is an important thing. So do you know what I mean?
Welcome to stick around, mate.
It's not like you're saying, you just want to go and play
Chill.
with your chicken. Probably that don't sound like it's meant to.
That is not a euphemism,
but you know where I'm
guys.
going.
Yeah. Call of Duty.
Inside joke. On the album, I really do like the first verse, the intro, just for the fact that if you really listen to it, it's a bit like Benjamin Button. So I talk about life's going backwards. So there's a line, I can never remember, but it says, that food in your stomach starts to kick and squeal. You feel flummoxed. You realise you're carrying a new life as yours plummets. So everything's reversing. So I eat meat, so I'm not vegetarian, but you eat it, and if essence things were going backwards, eventually that gets in your stomach and that might start churning in, and now you're actually carrying a life. And it was just to make people think, ooh, why would I do that? And it says that, the table you're sitting at was once a tree back in the woods. And it's just talking about life's really short. So don't miss those moments, because you can't go back, and it does move faster and faster. You can't go back to when you're just born. So I like that.
Life
and then
eats death.
yeah, kind of. And then do you know, at the moment, Mean is probably my favourite, because it was an afterthought. That was meant for Centuries Divided, and then I listened to it, and it just fit in with the whole mellow soundscape. So I was like, I'm swapping one out and putting that in. And the one I swapped out, it's a really strange concept, and this is how my mind works at times. Me and Louise we went to get a shawarma kebab, and we were sat on the forest ground just eating it. And on the forest ground, there's all the crows. I was like, look, it's like a field of crows, and they were coming in, we were feeding them a little bit, and they were coming. And it made me go, that's just weird, because we were just sitting there watching. It was like, we're sat here watching a field of crows. So I wrote a tune called Field of Crows.
Nah.
And it actually, and I kind of looked at what they do, and it's just all about how it sounds really stupid. When you hear it, it'll make sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do they see? What do they see when they're hiding in the trees? Do they see everything, or do they disappear in the breeze? And it talks about how intelligent they are, what they do, and it's the weirdest concept, but it works on the beat. But it didn't fit in with the soundscape, so I thought, let me swap it, because it's a little bit. It doesn't fit. It's a bit too concept out of there. But yeah, so I think Mean at the moment, and it's the one I didn't release as a single, but I sent it to DJs and they're playing it and they love it, and it's weird.
And do you feel listening to it in its entirety, 43 minutes you say?
It's about 37 minutes.
37 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's the optimal flow that you wish for it to be? And have you sort of pieced it together in that way?
Yeah, I put the titles on a piece of paper, I rip it up, I put them down, I look at them, I kind of think what the tune was, will that go there? No, move that to that. I know the start and I knew the end.
Yeah.
And then it was like, right, now I need to piece them in the middle.
The meat.
So it's literally, how do you start? Do you want it to go like that and then dip? Not dip as in lose interest, but mellow, rise again.
Take you on the journey.
Or do you want it to do that? And it's quite visual for me.
Oh,
and I will sit there and move. And probably on my phone I've got pictures of the titles of stuff, and I just move them around, and I'll just sit there, and Kamal will walk in and go, "What are you doing?" Go, "Are you doing the album like running order?" Right? Yeah. I'll just be looking at it and going, yeah, something doesn't sit. And it might be you take one out and you go, right, now it looks, it's weird because I see things in the kind of colours, and a tune might not be the right colour for the album. And it like Field of Crows was in my head like a purpley thing, Means like a green, and it fit in with everything.
Well, do you know what, mate? Actually, I think everything happens for a reason. And I quite like that we've done an hour now anyway. So part 2, if we do another hour...
Lovely.
We've got 2 hours of album content to go down.
Can I just shout out Kamal, who did the designs, my stepson. He did the album cover.
Yeah.
And it's my favourite album cover, totally. Okay, and he goes by KR Design Solutions on Insta. You can follow him from mine.
I'll be getting in touch with Kamal, yeah.
Do you know what? He did the cover... And we always get together and have a little chat, and then he went off and did it. And when I saw it, I was like, that was the missing piece to this project.
And does it feel whole now?
Oh, man, yeah.
You wouldn't have put it out until it felt whole, would you?
No.
Because I know you.
But
and
the cover,
you are a perfectionist.
the cover was it. I saw the cover and I went, that's it. It's my favourite cover.
Mate,
and he just smashed it.
Kamal, listen to this. You know what you're doing. You're a legend.
Smashed it.
You've got a future ahead of you, brother. Kamal, we love you. Thank you.
And he played guitar on Are Ya.
You made it whole, brother. Big love. Frisco, thank you for this. Apologies for the bad timekeeping.
Not a problem at all.
That's a Mikey Markham thing.
We're just going to do it. We'll do a third. Just everyone go and have a listen. Sunflowers in September.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a really good thought. You've listened to this. You've had a taster.
Listen to the album.
Go listen to the album. We'll be back, part 2.
And if you do listen to it and watch the interview, if you want to message and ask if there's any questions you want to ask, put them out.
Mate, I genuinely mean this. I said this at the start. I'm going to promote it much more because it deserves it. You've wrote something
appreciate that. I really do appreciate
is so
that.
deserving of attention and just props. So I give big props to you. Well done,
Thank
mate.
you.
Be proud of this. This is a forever thing.
Thank you.
It lasts.
I appreciate that.
People can access it in years to come. So well
Appreciate
done,
that.
man. Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I love you lots. I'll leave you on this. Just be nice to one another, you beautiful set of buggers. That's all you got to do. Just be nice. See you later.